Hey there, and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into the absolutely incredible world of cells. I'm talking about the tiny, tiny building blocks that make up literally every living thing. Think about it, from the little geckos you see climbing the walls to our very own national plant, the Maltese rock century. Ready? Let's jump right in. All right, let's kick things off with a little riddle. I want you to picture one of those ancient, gnarled olive trees, maybe one you've seen out in Bidnija. Got it? Okay, now picture a tiny little ant crawling on the ground. And finally, think about, well, you. So a giant tree, a tiny ant, and you. What on earth could all three of you possibly have in common? You guessed it. The answer is cells. Yep, that's the one. These tiny, amazing little structures are the fundamental building blocks for all life on this planet. It's the one thing that connects all of us. So what exactly is a cell? Well, the easiest way to think about it is like a single Lego brick, right? It's the smallest, most basic piece, but with enough of them, you can build absolutely anything. A cell is just that, the basic unit of life. Every single living thing is made of them, from the tiniest bacteria you can't even see, all the way up to complex creatures like us. And you know how Legos come in all sorts of different kits, right? You might get a castle kit or a spaceship kit. Well, cells are kind of the same. They come in a few main types. For today, we're going to focus on the two big ones you'll hear about most, plant cells and animal cells. At first glance, they might look pretty similar, and they definitely share a lot of the same parts. But, and this is a big but, plant cells have three key things that animal cells just don't have. So let's take a closer look and see what really makes them unique. Okay, let's kick things off with the animal cell. Yep, the very kind you and I are made of. So first up, we've got the nucleus. Think of this as the control center, the absolute brain of the whole operation. Then you've got the cytoplasm, which is this jelly-like stuff that fills the cell. It's like the factory floor where all the action happens. And wrapping it all up is the cell membrane. This is like the security gate, you know? It's super important because it controls everything that goes in and out. Now for the plant cell. These guys have all the same stuff as an animal cell, but they've got some cool extras. First, they have a rigid cell wall on the outside. This is like a support beam, giving the plant its structure. Then there's a huge, large vacuole. You can think of it as a giant water tank that keeps the cell firm and healthy. And finally, the really cool part, chloroplasts. These are the cell's own little solar panels. They're what capture sunlight to make food. You've heard of that process, right? It's photosynthesis. So question for you. If we're all built from these basic cell kits, how is it that we have so many different parts, like skin and muscles and bones? Well, it's because cells become specialized. They actually change their shape and their features to get really, really good at one specific job. It's pretty incredible. Just in the human body, get this, there are over 200 different types of specialized cells. Take a nerve cell, for example. It's super long and thin, looking almost like an electrical wire. And that's basically what it does. Its whole job is to zap messages from your brain to the rest of your body, and it does it in a split second. That's how you can think, move, and feel things instantly. And what about red blood cells? They've got this really unique kind of dented shape, right? Well, that shape is perfect for their job. It helps them grab onto oxygen in your lungs and then deliver it everywhere else in your body that needs it. They're literally the tiny delivery trucks for your whole system. And it's not just animals. Plants have specialized cells too, of course. Check out a root hair cell. It has this long, thin extension that gives it a massive surface area. Why? Well, it makes it fantastic at soaking up all the water and minerals it can from the soil. Okay, so this brings up another big question. How do we get bigger, or how does a cut on your arm heal? We're made of all these tiny cells, right? Well, the answer is actually really simple. The cells themselves don't get bigger, we just make more of them, a lot more. And this all happens through a process called cell division. It's honestly as simple as it sounds. One cell just splits and becomes two brand new, identical cells. Then those two split and become four, then four become eight, and it just keeps going. That's it. That's how we grow from a baby to an adult, and it's how our bodies repair themselves. So cell division is great for growing and healing. That makes sense. But what about creating a whole new life from the very beginning, from scratch? Where do the first instructions come from? You know, the master blueprint for building a whole new person or a new plant. And that brings us to reproduction. This is the absolutely crucial process where that genetic code, the master blueprint we were talking about, gets passed on to a new generation. It's how life, well, keeps on going.
Let's look at plants first. For a lot of them, the flower is the key to reproduction. It's got a male part, which we call the stamen, that's what makes the pollen, and it has a female part, called the pistil, which is where you'll find the ovules.
The whole process for plants really boils down to three main steps. First, you've got pollination. That's just when pollen gets from the stamen over to the pistil. Next up is fertilization. This is the big moment where the male and female cells actually join together. And what does that create? A seed. And inside that seed is an embryo, a tiny, brand new plant, just waiting for the right time to grow. So what about humans? Well, we also pass on our genetic blueprint using specialized cells. And you know what? The basic idea is exactly the same as in plants. It's all about combining genetic information to create a totally new and unique individual. In humans, those two special cells are the sperm, which is the male reproductive cell, and the egg, the female reproductive cell. Now, the key thing to remember here is that each one of these cells carries exactly half of the genetic instructions needed to build a new person. And this all leads to the moment of fertilization. This is when one single sperm cell fuses with an egg cell. And in that one instant, those two halves of the blueprint, they combine. And just like that, the complete set of instructions for a new life is created. So what happens after fertilization? Well, that one single cell starts to divide, and divide, and divide over and over again. It grows and develops into an embryo, and then a fetus. And this continues for about 40 weeks, until finally, a baby is ready to be born. And just like that, we've come full circle. We started with a single cell, and we've seen how life uses it to grow, to specialize into all sorts of jobs, and to create a whole new generation. But I want to leave you with one last, truly amazing thought. Think about this. Every single one of us, every animal you can imagine, every tree, everything, started its journey as just one single cell. And somehow packed inside that tiny, tiny thing were all the instructions for everything it would ever become. That right there, that's the wonder of biology. From something so unbelievably small you need a powerful microscope just to see it, comes all the complex, beautiful, and diverse life on our entire planet. It all starts with the cell. Pretty amazing, isn't it?
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.